insidious hatred that spawned the Holocaust and Hamas's latest pogrom. Barbara, nice to see you again.
Thanks, Ezra. Thanks for having me.
Well, the shock I feel from what I saw some 18 or 19 days ago was not just my concern for the state of Israel, which I love as a democracy, and it's the ethnic homeland of Jews, but rather the depths of the barbarity, which I couldn't process. And I still have trouble processing. And it wasn't a Palestinian plan A or plan B or one state solution or two states. It wasn't a political haggle. It was the most anti-human, diabolical thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was as if the Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum had come to life in full color, and much worse. I think what hit me so hard 2.5 weeks ago was not the threat to Israel and a democracy, and not even the death toll, but the jubilation of the cruelty. And that's with me still. I'm reeling from that. I can't believe it. I'd like you to talk now, because I'm emoting. I'm just plainly saying how I feel. But that's an important thing to clock, isn't it?
It's very hard to process. I think that Jews of our generation, my generation, in their wildest dreams, could not imagine that this would be happening again, and seeing Einsatzgruppen invading Israel, which we thought was totally secure, that was the one place where Jews would be safe. I'm finding it very difficult to see that jubilation. It's very sickening, and it reminds me very much of the scenes that we heard about and saw a little bit of when ISIS some years ago and the Islamic State was rampaging through Syria and Iraq, and burning people alive and dropping people caged into the river to drown. And I mean, the sadism of the way they kill people was extremely shocking. And to me, Hamas is ISIS. They have the same values. They have the same goals. So it's terrible. And of course, it's made all the worse by, as you say, seeing scenes of Muslims rejoicing around the world. But even worse than that, seeing students and non-Muslims who are rejoicing with them and talking about any means necessary as a form of resistance. They call it resistance. They call it a response to colonization, so that anything that resists colonization, you can forget about morality, you can forget about, basic human decency, that it's all tolerable, or it certainly is when Jews are the victims. I don't remember anybody when ISIS was rampaging through the Middle East. I don't remember anybody on this side of the world that was rejoicing with them or saying, "Yeah, those people had it coming," or "We're on their side," or anything like that. And yet here, this is the same. And I just would like to add to what your eloquent introduction. You know, as you say, Hitler did make an attempt to sort of say, well, oh no, it's not death camps, it's work camps. Hitler's ambitions were only to kill all the Jews in Europe. Hamas's plan or wish, and Hezbollah, is to kill all the Jews in the world. That's in their charter. They would like to eliminate all the Jews in the world. So, in fact, their ambitions are bigger and wider. And we are all Jews in all countries of the world where supporters of these ugly ideologies are present, are targets. We're targets as much as the people in Israel. So this was never about colonization. This is Jew hatred, pure and simple, dressed up as colonization.
I remember some of the atrocious videos of ISIS, and social media was certainly not as developed back then as it is now. But I remember seeing a cell phone video of an ISIS terrorist cannibalizing cutting out
Mhm.
the heart of a victim and eating it. It was the most shocking thing. It was a snuff film, and part of me wishes I never looked at it. I remember ISIS lining up Coptic Christians in a row and slitting their throats. Slitting their throats was their preferred method of death. They actually didn't torture and abuse the bodies as much as Hamas did in southern Israel, although I understand the ISIS terrorists in the Bataclan nightclub in Paris did atrocious torture and dismemberment and disfigurement to their victims. But here's the thing about the Bataclan club in Paris, where 130 people were murdered by ISIS, and about the Coptic Christians, and about the more moderate, sorry, not moderate, more the less extremist or fundamentalist Muslims that ISIS killed in Syria and Iraq, about the Yazidis that ISIS killed. ISIS mass raped the Yazidis.
Sex slaves. They took them as sex slaves and kept them for
Yeah.
months, years, and they said that was allowed to them.
I had the terrible experience of interviewing one such rape slave. They had open air slave markets. Here's the thing. ISIS was in some ways as bad as Hamas. And yet there was no jubilation. What is the difference? Why was there no jubilation at Harvard and University of Toronto and in Mississauga's Gaza Plaza? Why was there no jubilation when ISIS slit the throats of the Coptic Christians, when ISIS slit the throats in the Bataclan? What is the commonality amongst all those cases, and what's the difference in the case we're here to talk about today? The
I
Jews.
honestly think,
The Jews.
yeah, it's the Jews. I mean, let's say it. And there's a lot of pent up. The universities have been incubating this Jew hatred in the form of anti-Zionism and pretending that it's not about Jews. It's about Israel. Israel is this evil entity because they represent this imperial colonized whatever. But it never was. It never was about that. It was always about Jew hatred, and these people that support Hamas, people that are not even Muslim, but that have been indoctrinated into the cult of Jew hatred through the university's ideology of intersectionality and all that other crap. They've been groomed to Jew hatred, and that it's okay to hate Jews because Jews represent an evil. I mean, they call it Zionism, but it's not. It's just pure. Jews don't have the right to their state. They don't have the right to have their homeland like other people. They don't have the right to anything. They don't have the right to live. It's that simple, and yet their narrative is the one that the media, much of the media, not all, thank God, are glomming onto as well. It's understandable because of 75 years of oppression.
Yeah.
That is never understandable. I don't care even if it was 75 years of oppression, which it has not been. To be able to have that come out of your mouth, beheading babies, raping children, killing their parents in front of their eyes, roping parents together with their children and then setting them on fire, burning them to death. How, in the name of God, can this be something that you're allowed to do if you feel you've been oppressed?
And that's the astonishing thing, is that all the caring people, the anti-hate people, the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, the Canadian Race Relations Foundation, every single province and territory has something called a Human Rights Commission. I have not heard from any of these people who care about a microaggression. Trigger warning, microaggressions. What about these monstrous aggressions? What about hatred so brutal it calls for the extermination. From the river to the sea is code for kill every Jew between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean. It's a call for
Exactly.
extermination. And I
Yes.
have not seen a single person who for my entire life has called themselves the nice people, the human rights people. We care more than you. We're more tolerant than you. We're here to chide you. If you conservatives take one step outside of our preconceived notion of what you should say, we're going to call you Nazis. Here's actual Nazis, and not a word from these people. In fact, these people are the ones who are the most hateful. The diversity, inclusion, and equity people are the ones propagating the hatred. It's stunning to me. And as you pointed out, it's not just Muslim immigrants to Canada. It is white, woke leftists too.
Mhm. That's a huge part of it. You see them walking in demonstrations. I saw a clip of some smug white students who were at the university tearing down pictures of the hostages. Pictures of the hostages. How is this? How is this something that's offensive to them? That these are innocent hostages, and they're actually tearing down their pictures off the wall and looking very smug as they do it, like righteous. See what we're doing? Because these are Israeli hostages.
Yeah.
Anything that hurts Israeli citizens or Israeli, they're they're down with that. We have a serious soul searching to do. These universities have some. I mean, they won't, but they should be aghast at what their own students are doing. They're supposed to be able to, as you say, inclusion, safety. I don't feel safe. I got misgendered. I don't feel safe. This is taken very seriously. Um, Jews have not felt safe in universities where there's a significant Jewish population for decades, and they have been begging the universities to help them to create an environment in which they do. And it's very clear that the environment that is making them feel unsafe is this relentless uh, pro-Palestinian these groups, Solidarity for Palestine, and all these groups that support them, and their apartheid weeks, and the relentless campaign to demonize Israel. It is now spilled over, and it has created in the students that they have seduced into their narrative of how they're the most oppressed people in the world. They have been indoctrinated to believe, maybe they don't even know it themselves until they see themselves jubilant about this situation, that hating Jews is okay because Jews are hyper privileged white people. White people, of course, are you don't worry about them, anything bad that happens to them. But Jews are the worst of the white people. They're hyper privileged. This is the message that Jewish students have been getting.